So they're calling it Return to the Land. It's a whites-only community in rural Arkansas. 40 acres, cabin, schoolhouse, and a shared well. It's being marketed as a fortress for the white race because apparently the suburbs just aren't racist enough anymore. At first glance, it might seem harmless, just some folks living off the grid, homeschooling their kids, raising goats, pretending it's 1850. But here's the problem. We ended racial separation in this country for a reason, because separation by force or by design warps people. It poisons the way they see themselves, and it completely distorts how they see everyone else. In the 1940s, psychologists Kenneth and Mamie Clark ran a study known as the doll test. They showed black children two dolls, one black, one white. The children overwhelmingly said the white doll was nice and the black doll was bad. Why? Because that's what segregation taught them, that white men good and everything else less than. This didn't just happen in the US. In South Africa, after decades of apartheid, researchers found lasting trauma in children, depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Separation didn't protect anyone. It fractured a nation and it broke generations. So when I see a community like this in Arkansas forming under the illusion of safety and shared values, I don't see a peaceful retreat. I see indoctrination with property lines. Because here's what happens in isolated communities like this. Reality becomes this closed loop. You're only fed one story, and that story is that whiteness is purity and that everyone else is dangerous. That you're the hero in some made-up culture war. And when that's all you hear, fear becomes fact, and hate becomes heritage. And questioning that makes you a traitor. This isn't just about what happens inside those cabins. It's about what happens to the kids growing up in them. They won't just be cut off from diversity. They'll be taught fear. They'll be raised in a world where empathy is weakness and difference is danger. In the US, we saw this with segregation activities. Private schools created after Brown versus Board just to keep white kids separate. Those kids grew up with limited worldviews and a deep misunderstanding of the country they actually live in. And let's not pretend this stays small. These places scale, they replicate, they organize. The people building this Arkansas compound aren't just moving into the woods to be left alone. They're buying land, they're fundraising, and promoting the idea of white-only communities across the country. That's not homesteading, that's a strategy. And while they're trying to use legal loopholes to avoid fair housing laws, claiming it's a private membership association, that doesn't make it moral or safe or legal. See, this isn't about preserving culture, it's about feeding paranoia and then turning that community into a weapon. You think this won't affect you? You're wrong. Segregation doesn't just harm those inside the bubble. It warps public policy. It changes how we zone schools, how we fund hospitals, even draw voting districts. It fractures empathy and it erodes democracy. When you only feed people fear and zero challenge, it doesn't stay cabins and goats. It becomes segregation with a mortgage payment, a cult with a zip code. And that's a blueprint for something far worse. So no, don't tell me this is harmless. Don't call it freedom. Call it what it is. White supremacist, intentional community. Let them go live in the woods. But don't ignore it. Because the last time people said separate but equal, it wasn't equal. And if we don't call it out now, we're going to be dealing with a lot more places than just Arkansas.